There was a version of me that walked through Guernsey in the dark almost every morning, carrying far more than anyone around me realised. Most people probably would have looked at me and thought, yeah, he seems alright. Own business, married, functional, disciplined. But internally, I was quietly collapsing. And strangely, the one thing that started helping me survive that period of my life was the sea. I didn't originally become interested in sea swimming because I was chasing some trendy wellness movement or trying to become ultra disciplined. Truthfully, I was scared of the sea for years. And I know some people might laugh at that, but I genuinely think growing up watching films like Jaws psychologically affected a lot of people. Dark water, seaweed underneath, the unknown. Anything out of my depth used to bother me. But there was this strange part of me deep down that knew the fear itself wasn't rational. Especially living in Guernsey. This isn't Australia. There are no great white sharks cruising around underneath you. The danger was never really the sea. The danger was what was happening in my own mind. A very good friend of mine who originally started as a massage client was heavily into sea swimming. And I think somewhere through exposure to that world, something inside me became curious. Not just about swimming, about myself. Could I break the fear? Could I become comfortable in uncomfortable environments? Could I learn to stay calm in situations where my nervous system wanted to panic? I didn't realise it at the time, but those questions would eventually become much bigger than swimming. The walks to the sea became ritualistic, structured, purposeful, like a man on a mission. And what's frightening in hindsight is how functional I'd become despite the amount I was drinking at that time in my life. I could have drunk heavily the night before and still be walking down towards the bathing pools at 5 or 6 in the morning, fully focused on getting into the water. And at the time, I didn't even perceive myself as hungover anymore. The body had adapted. That probably says a lot about me and myself. But those mornings, God, those mornings were beautiful. Living on the East Coast meant I saw the sunrise constantly. And when you're awake early enough every single day to witness the world before most people are even conscious, something happens to you psychologically. There's a stillness to it. The roads are quiet, the air feels untouched, the sky slowly starts changing colour. Sometimes there'd be a soft orange light breaking across the horizon while the sea was almost glass-like. And for a while, my head would go quiet. That's probably the part people don't understand. The sea wasn't exercise to me. It became psychological survival. I think there was always numbness in me back then, detachment too. But underneath all of that, there was also determination, extreme determination. Because even though parts of me were struggling, another part of me absolutely refused to completely give up on myself. And looking back now, I'm proud of that version of me for continuing to walk towards the water even when internally life felt unbelievably heavy. The first shock of cold water never got easier. People romanticise it now online, but cold water can be violent initially. Your breathing changes instantly, your nervous system lights up. Every instinct tells you to get back out. But if you stayed in, something else happened. Presence. Pure presence. You stop. Worrying about bills, stress, arguments, identity, pressure. Because cold water forces you into that exact moment you're standing in. And at that point in my life, that was one of the only places where my brain stopped attacking me. And I became addicted to that feeling. And not addicted in a motivational speaker way. Addicted because I needed relief. I needed silence. I needed regulation before I even understood what nervous system regulation was. But then I wouldn't have had the language for any of this. I just knew. When I leave the sea, I cope with life better. And that was enough. Most of the time I kept myself to myself, very private, very solitary. I didn't go down there looking for conversation. I think in many ways I was trying to escape conversation, escape noise, escape expectation. Because when your internal world becomes chaotic, silence becomes sacred. And I genuinely felt connected to the planet during those mornings in a way I struggle to fully explain even now. The sun rising, the smell of salt in the air, the sound of water moving against the rocks, that cold wind hitting your skin before you even got in. You know, it made me feel connected. To something bigger than the small, painful reality I was trapped inside mentally. What's strange is, I think people probably saw me during that period and assumed I was doing well. That's the scary thing about functioning human beings. Sometimes the people smiling, the people working, the people still showing up every day are actually fighting unbelievably dark internal battles privately. And because I never spoke about it, nobody really knew. Looking back now, with hindsight, wonderful thing, I don't think I was swimming for fitness anymore. I think I was trying to survive myself, and the sea became the only place where I could temporarily put everything down. No expectations, no pressure, no identity, no performance, just cold water, silence and breath. If I could go back and stand beside that version of myself, walking towards the sea in darkness all those years ago, I think I'd probably just say, keep going. Even if you don't fully understand why yet, keep walking towards the water. Because although I didn't realise it at the time, those quiet, lonely walks into the sunrise were the beginning of me finding myself again.